When it comes to real estate investing, a key player on your team needs to be your real estate agent. But not just any agent, an agent that knows the area, understands the changes happening within a community you are looking to invest in, and understanding the clientele that is purchasing properties in that area. Today, we chat with April Patterson, a realtor in the Skagit County area of Washington State. Skagit County, for those not familiar, sits about an hour's drive north of Seattle. And as April is going to share with us today, it's a unique area with a lot of potential. Before we jump into today's episode, however, a quick update on our latest property for those that have been following along. We finally have the main house that caught on fire back in 2018 all cleared out. Step one in what is going to be a long process of rebuilding. We now have a clear view of the fire damage, which, according to the structural engineer, isn't too bad. The fire started in the basement, and so there will be some joists that need to be replaced on the main floor and some support beams in the basement and about 4 studs in a wall that were going to be taken out anyway. One thing that we love about old homes, and one of the reasons we thought that the fire damage might not be as bad as it looked, was because they just don't make wood today like they used to. We know this house was built in 1911 with good old growth lumber, which burns slower than the lumber we get today. That, along with the walls being lath and plaster, really contained the fire to a pretty small area of the main floor. The basement took the brunt of the fire, as we believed it started from a hot water heater down there. But again, the old growth joists did their job. They look really bad, charred all black. However, structurally, many of them are still strong, and I would say even stronger than a 2x8 you could buy today to replace them with, even after being burnt. And that brings me to today's investor highlight, which is understand your property and learn how to see the potential through the smoke, or in our case, the smoke damage. Of course, this is something that comes with time. We're now 17 properties into our real estate adventure, and we've learned to look beyond what you see to understand what a property's potential has. This house wasn't selling because buyers couldn't see past the blown out windows, the smoke damage in the house, or the hole in the roof. So we were able to buy it at a discount. Then we had 3 different contractors tell us we should just tear the house down and start over, that it wasn't worth saving. Yet the foundation is in excellent shape, and other than a hole in the roof from the firefighters and the hole we put in the roof from pulling out the chimney, the rest of the roof was in great shape, having been redone in 2018 just before the fire. Fixing the hole in the roof, plus the hole from removing the chimney that we were going to have to replace anyways, was a far cry from a completely new roof we were going to start over. Now that the house is cleared out, contractors walk through and say, this is pretty good shape. But you see, it was always in pretty good shape structurally. They just couldn't see past the smoke to what the home really had potential to become. There are a lot of ways to make money in real estate investing, but one of the places you start is on the purchase of the property. If you can see things that others can't, if you understand the larger picture, then you put yourself in a really good position moving forward. So learning to look past the smoke and understand what is really happening in a property is education that comes with time. Walk the property with a contractor. Walk the property with an inspector. Educate yourself to see the things that others miss and set yourself up for a great investment opportunity. Now, before we get to today's interview with April, a quick shout out to Inspectify.com, our sponsor for this episode. This company is transforming the way you inspect properties. Make sure to listen to episode 30 to hear from Josh Jensen, CEO of Inspectify.com, and his own real estate investing journey. Inspectify.com gives you customer inspections with cutting-edge data and promises you peace of mind with every report. With unique insights into permits and appliances, your investment is protected from potential pitfalls. Across the nation, Inspectify's 4,000-strong team of inspectors is on standby, guaranteed service within 48 hours. Check out Inspectify.com now and step into the future of property inspections with Inspectify, where detail meets data-driven precision. And remember to tell them you heard about them on the Washington State Real Estate Investing Podcast. All right. Today, we talk with April Patterson, a realtor and a veteran of the U.S. Navy. She specializes in military and veterans, holding a military relocation professional designation from the National Association of Realtors. She is an advocate for first-time investors, and today she shares her knowledge about investing in Skagit County and specifically opportunities for those in the armed forces. Enjoy this episode. And with that, on with the show. All right, welcome back to the Washington State Real Estate Investing Podcast. I'm so excited to be joined today by April from Sedro-Woolley. We're going to be talking about Skagit County, all the great things that are happening just north of Seattle. April, thank you for being on the podcast with us today. Real quick, could you give listeners a little bit about your background and how you got into real estate?
So I actually grew up in Oklahoma, and the Navy brought me here in 2003, and I never left. So Pacific Northwest has been my home since then, and I have gone to college here, and I work with veterans here, and I got into real estate about 2.5 years ago.
Awesome. Now, you work out of Sedro-Woolley, is that correct?
I kind of work more out of Burlington. Skagit County is one of those areas where the cities kind of just all blend together.
Yeah, that's so true. Well, talk a little bit. You call Skagit County the best kept secret on the I-5 corridor. Can you talk a little bit about that? What is it up there that you're seeing that you feel like this is a great spot for investors?
I do. So again, my affiliation with military aviation has such a profound effect on my business. So most people don't know we're pretty much in between Naval Air Station Whidbey and Naval Air Station Everett. So a Naval Air Station Everett has about 6,000 people. NAS Whidbey Island has 9,000 active duty. You have reserves. You have almost 20,000 family members. And so Skagit County is kind of that in-between point for families that dual military families travel both bases. It's really great for those families with really great tax rate. And honestly, there's a need for growth. So.
That's great. I know my wife and I actually flipped a home up in Sedro-Woolley, did quite well on it. We did one in Mount Vernon as well. So we've done a little bit of work up that way as well. As we kind of talk about this, can you kind of maybe talk about it from an investment opportunity? What specific areas or types of properties within Skagit County do you believe offer the best potential right now for investors who might be looking to invest in that area?
Yeah, so right now we're seeing a lot of mixed use where we're doing commercial on bottom, residential on top. And there's kind of a couple of different concepts with that. We've got the ones that are up top that are rentals. We've got conversations about ones that are condos, so it's home ownership. So a lot of that mixed partnership use. And when I talk about partnerships, I also think about nonprofits. Volunteers of America is doing a project right now, and they're working with private money and grant money. So bringing all that together and really helping develop housing and services for everyone. So we're seeing a lot of those private and nonprofit partnerships. We also see a lot of Janicki. So I live in Sedro-Woolley. Janicki's a huge employer up here. They're also huge in the housing industry. They're building a couple of different units right now in Sedro-Woolley. So they not only invest in employment, they invest in housing here. And there's a reason for that. So it's good stuff.
Yeah. Is there still quite, do you feel like there's still quite high demand? What, like right now, how long are properties sitting on the MLS or what are you seeing from a price? Are we seeing price drops in Skagit County at all?
We are. I have a lot of experience with the rental market because I work with veterans and we have a 0% rental vacancy. So we literally don't have anywhere to put people if they're looking to rent. Now, our housing prices are a little bit more affordable than the surrounding areas, but we still sit in that near 500 mark, which is you're making 6 figures a year to afford that.
Yeah. Can Can you talk a little bit about maybe some of the different areas? Like there's Cedro-Woolley, there's Mount Vernon. You're in Burlington, the kind of Burlington, Mount Vernon area there. Can you kind of maybe give listeners who aren't familiar with that area kind of what are some of these different cities and what's the uniqueness of them all?
Yeah, that's a good point. Like I said, Skagit County is kind of all intermingle with each other. We have this idea that Burlington has a ton of retail, not a lot of population, but they have the majority of the tax revenue in the county. So they're super retail heavy. But then you'll get Mount Vernon that's very housing heavy. You also have Cedro-Woolley that's starting to kind of mix those both. So putting those commercial on bottom and residential on top to bring services and retail and tax dollars and things like that. And of course, we have the tulips in Mount Vernon.
Right. Yeah. The Tulip Festival, which is the whole reason why nobody wants to drive on I-5 North during
so beautiful
tulip season.
Roads.
Yeah. Yeah. But you also, if you're not going to the Tulip Festival, you just stay off the roads during the Tulip Festival because it backs up quite a bit. Well, you talk a lot about and work a lot about with veterans and those in the military. Can you maybe talk a little bit about some of the opportunities for maybe a listener who is in the military or who is a veteran, that some of the ways they can get into real estate investing, and what are some loan products out there that maybe are specific to them that an average person might not be able to take advantage of?
I'm glad you mentioned the loans. So the first thing I want to mention, I'm a real estate agent, but the most important player in the game here is your lender. If your lender doesn't know the programs, if your lender doesn't know how to access the programs, they're doing you a disservice. So especially for VA, your lender needs to know the VA system. And you will know right away when start using acronyms if they know. So that's my most important piece of advice. And I say that because we have, when you're in the service, you make a lot of lifetime relationships. And so we like to encourage young military to invest together. And I'm not talking about necessarily hooking up with that relationship. And it might end well, it might not. It does for some, it does for others, not for others. But I'm talking about your military buddies who are interested in buying multi-unit properties. VA can buy up to a fourplex. You can count the rental a little bit differently. And again, your loan officer has to know that because they can get you so much buying power because VA is the only loan that funds 100%. So it's one of the most magnificent programs on the market.
That's great. Can you tell a story? Do you have a story of maybe an investor that used a VA loan and what they were able to kind of maybe purchase or how they were able to leverage that?
I have a lot of guys in California. I don't have a lot of experience up here yet with the guys buying multi-unit, but we have a ton of active duty guys in San Diego that will partner together. Two guys will buy together. They'll buy a fourplex. They'll rent out the other two. And I mentioned California because it's so expensive there, and Washington's not far behind.
Right.
So really leveraging that VAH. And knowing that VAH, you're housing money for military, it's really important that these guys really connect and talk about that and talk about how VA can help you invest.
And when you buy a multifamily like that with a VA loan, is one of them have to become basically your primary residence and then you can rent out the other three? Or if there are two of you going in, do each of you get a primary and then you go out with those other two? I don't know where those balloons just came from. Great. If anybody's watching the video, they're just balloons. I don't know what happened. This keeps happening on my computer, and I don't know where they come from all of a sudden.
Your computer loves
Somebody put something on my computer. I know. Apparently, it's a great conversation. If you're watching the video, if you're not watching the video, you don't know what just happened. But the balloons just kind of came on my video camera. But how does that work? Do you have to live in one? Is that how that works?
Yeah, so VA, you got to live in one. But again, there's workarounds for this. It's a 12-month occupancy, and then things can change with your loan. I have a really great example of how VA protects a buyer. I worked on a team, and this team has worked with thousands of VA buyers. Never have they seen an active duty military purchase a home and then get their orders changed. This has actually happened to me 1.5 times. We were under contract with one and their orders got changed. So we had to cancel that contract. I had another buyer who actually closed at the end of August, and 10 days later, he got his orders changed. So,
oh my gosh.
A lot of people think, oh man, he's going to have to sell the house because it's not his primary residence.
Right.
But that's not true. Honestly, he created an instant investment. So, and it's in a really great area near NAS Whidbey Island. So honestly, it worked out really, really well for him. And he was so thankful that he didn't have to sell the property, because selling it a month after you buy it just doesn't work.
Sure, right.
So
yeah, that's great. Are there a lot of in that area? If we're talking to investors who might be looking to invest in that area, are there a lot of smaller units? Are you seeing more? Because you're talking that there are some larger apartment complexes that are mixed use going in. Are there any smaller, like duplexes, fourplexes? Are there a lot of those on the market? Are there a lot of those in that area? I'm not even real sure what that area is like.
There's a lot that have been permitted lately. Again, we just had a lot of bills passed in Washington State that created a lot of opportunity for growth. So we've seen an influx of permit applications, and I want to say Burlington has about 9,000 units permitted right now. So yeah, it's a lot of growth potential. We're just kind of waiting to see them built and put on the market.
Yeah, because you're at 0% vacancy. You need the homes. Yeah, wow. I didn't realize it. I didn't realize it, but it makes sense to your point. You've got the two Navy bases up there. You've also got Everett, which is also not that far away. That has not only the military, but you've got healthcare and everything else, and Boeing that comes with there. And now with people working even remotely, I know that there's quite a few people, even from the greater Seattle area, that are up towards Burlington, Cedar-Woolley way. That when you only have to commute once or twice a week, you can live farther away because you can have more land and not that prices are that much different, but you can have a little bit bigger lots up that area than you can say in the city down here for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
What are some emerging trends that you're seeing in real estate investing, particularly in Skagit County? And what predictions do you think are for kind of investment in the area? Are you seeing any kind of trends coming in the area at the moment?
We're seeing, again, a lot of that mixed use that's coming with partnerships from nonprofits. Habitat for Humanity in this area does incredible work. Volunteers of America, Helping Hands, all these groups are trying to partner with private investors to just create housing and opportunities and services. And so we're seeing a lot of that.
And if people, I know that there are investors who like to invest heavily in areas where there are military bases. Kind of how far north and south would you say that that investors should be looking as far as where people in the military are kind of looking for housing? How far north did they go up to Bellingham, or do they not quite go that far north?
They will go up to Bellingham. The best price point's Oak Harbor, but then the second best price point, Skagit. Especially if you're willing to go a little bit east in Skagit, like Cedar-Woolley, which most people don't even realize is only 12 minutes from I-5. So it's really not that far. Yeah.
I mean, I was shocked when we flipped the home up there in Cedar-Woolley. You turn off I-5 and that's not that far. And you're in the town itself. So, and one of the best burgers in the state.
Oh, yes. Did you go? No, you were at the house. Yeah. They're selling house right now.
Oh, you're kidding
me.
They're
selling the business.
Wow. Yeah. Well, if anybody's up that way, it still is an amazing burger. So you'll have to stop by. Well, this is awesome, April. Thank you for spending some time with us today. If there are investors who are looking and want to learn more about Skagit County and what are ways that they can support military or want to invest in military areas, what's the best way for people to reach out to you?
You can reach out to me through email, realestatewithapril@yahoo.com. or I'm super quick with text response, 360-724-8941.
Awesome. Great. And we'll make sure that we have links to your website and other places where people can contact you as well in the show notes. So, well, appreciate you hanging out and talking about Skagit County. I do think it's one of those areas that kind of gets forgotten. You know, it sits north of Snohomish, so it's kind of out of the what we would consider the greater Seattle area, and yet it's not Bellingham, which a lot of people know about. It kind of sits in this sweet spot out there, and it is just a beautiful, beautiful area too. You've got access to the mountains for people that like doing that. You've got the military bases, which you talked about, which I think is so huge. I think we forget about the pull that is, and I like 20,000 people just with the military base on Whidbey Island. So that's incredible.
That's just family
and when
members.
rental rates are yeah. And when rental rates are at 0%, it's a great place. And to your point, there have been new laws changed that we're opening up all these places for multifamily builds. So I think it really is an interesting time to be thinking about that. If you are an investor and you want to learn more about the Skagit County and things that are going on in that region, please do reach out to April, and we'll make sure, again, that everything is in the show notes, or reach out to her via email or text message. April, thanks so much for spending some time with us and sharing your thoughts on Skagit County.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Hey folks, I want to introduce you to Inspectify, our partner that is transforming the way properties are inspected. Whether it's new construction, acquisition, sales, unit turns, or renovations, Inspectify can capture your inspection data swiftly and efficiently. Customizable inspection scopes, cutting-edge tech, and an API integration promise high-fidelity property data with every report. They also have unique insight into permits and appliances, protecting your investment from potential pitfalls. Ready at a moment's notice, Inspectify ensures excellence with proprietary tech, top-notch customer service, and coast-to-coast coverage. Want to learn more about what Inspectify can do for you? Listen to episode 30 of the podcast, where I interview CEO Josh Jensen. Don't wait. Visit inspectify.com now and enter the future of property inspection with Inspectify.